Twins, watch out. They win 2 in a row. They take the series from Boston. Final score today, 5-4. Full deep dive coming up next on the Minnesota Twins POSTCAST.
This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Twins POSTCAST right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Got my main man, CJ Baumgartner. He's on X. Give him a follow. At BombCJ30, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. CJ, is this what it feels like to have some late clutch inning hitting? Because my goodness, I forgot what it felt like, man. What a difference it makes to score some runs late in the game for once, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm having to pinch myself to see if it's still real, because I was like, what? Late hitting Twins hitting
Who are we?
clutch?
Yeah.
What the heck is that? It's the SpongeBob meme where it's like, that's what we've been waiting for. That's exactly it.
Yeah, 100%. Lots to get into. Our game MVP, biggest turning point from this one. But first, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Game Time. Game Time, download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, so quick little recap. Twins trying to take this series, Game 3 versus Boston for all the marbles. Chris Paddack on the mound. Paddack was okay, right? Not great, not bad. Chewed up his 5 innings and got out of there. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 Ks, 2 walks. It's 3-1, top 7. Jeffers drives in some RBIs. That ties it up. Very next inning, it's Bader and Larnach with some clutch hitting. That puts them up 5-3. Boston did score 1 run on a solo shot just to make us sweat a little bit. And then bottom 9, in comes Duran, ring them up, sit them down. 5-4, that's your final. Again, Twins win 2 in a row. They take this series 15-20 now on the year, 5 games below 500. Biggest takeaways, topics, I guess, what stuck out the most, I guess, from this game.
We touched on it already, but it's the clutch hitting. And it's been something that this team, it's the reason why they lost 3 in a row in Cleveland. It's the reason why they didn't come through with a win Friday night. They just refused to get hits in crucial spots. And overall in the season, their numbers with runners in scoring position are like middle of the pack. But it doesn't really matter anecdotally and really over the last week when you'd watch this team, just inability to do anything with runners in scoring position, and especially hanging crooked numbers, right? In baseball, they say get a crooked number. That means basically score more than 1 run in an inning, get 2, get 3. And those 2 runs that they got in the 8th inning to put them up 5-3 at the time were huge, because Jax gave up the solo homer. And it's not just coming through in late game situations. It's getting multiple runs and making teams pay for giving up those runs. And you saw today the Twins were able to do that by getting 2 different innings of scoring 2 or more. It's a low bar to set sometimes, but it's really what they've done, because overall, when you look at their pitching and their bullpen, I know we can rip on them from time to time and they earn it, but really they've been solid. They've been top 8, both the bullpen and the starting rotation in baseball. It has all been on the lineup, getting hits with runners in scoring position. And today they were able to do that, and it's why they got a win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So again, Twins down 3-1, 7th inning. They score 2. They tie it back up again. Very next inning, get 2 more. They take the lead 5-3. From your lens, right, from your view, watching this game, what was the biggest turning point? When was it, I guess, and why?
Yeah, well, there's a couple different points, right? You could say the turning point was the Jeffers 2-run single to tie the game. I think that's pretty important, but if we're going to, and then maybe that's kind of the turning point in this game. But for me, it was Larnach getting that RBI single to get them up 5-3, to get a 2-run lead.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen before, the Twins in Cleveland, they get a 1-run lead, and then their bullpen would have a mistake, 1 bad pitch, and all gone. And for them to get the 2-run lead, to make it a cushion, to allow Griffin Jax to throw a mistake pitch and give up a solo home run, nothing hurt. He gets through the inning, then Duran comes in and finishes off the Red Sox in the 9th. I think that really, you can go with the Jeffers 2-run single, but I really think it's Larnach getting that RBI to give the Twins a multi-run lead. And when the Twins get those multi-run leads, they rarely do give them up. The problem is they just haven't had a lot of them.
Yeah, well said there. Completely agree. Maybe Jeffers will get some love here in this next segment.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So again, just from your lens here, a couple different options you could go once again, but who was your MVP today, CJ? If you had to pick one, who was it and why?
Yeah, I mean, let's give Ryan Jeffers some love here, right? Coming up, team only had one run to that point. They'd gotten some runners on base before, but hadn't been able to cash in. And Jeffers hitting that one does kind of break the floodgates open a little bit, or at least gets them back to a tie game, and then just kind of takes that pressure off. Like, you know, in baseball all the time, like you do everything right and still be wrong, you can still be out. And for them to just have that, to see it happen, it's like in basketball. You just need to see that 3 ball go in to be able to kind of do more stuff with it. And I think Jeffers getting that 2-run single certainly did help, and getting a couple RBIs on the day for sure in that DH spot. So yeah, Jeffers, we're going to go with the player of the game.
You know, it's a different era, right? This is a different era of baseball. Batting average doesn't necessarily mean the same as it did when I was growing up watching guys like Tony Gwynn, for example. But if I were to tell you on May 4th, your two batting average leaders for the Twins would be Ryan Jeffers and Harrison Bader, I mean, you would have said what?
I would have said great for those guys. That's awesome, but that's probably not good for the rest of the team.
Not good for everybody else.
If you're a platoon outfielder, and I mean, Jeffers is a starter, but just being a catcher. If a catcher not named Joe Mauer is your team's batting average leader, you're probably in trouble. And yeah, even though batting average doesn't mean what it used to, it still does mean something wrong when it's like that. Even though strikeout numbers are higher than they are, if you're 30th in strikeouts, it's still bad. It's that kind of same thing. Good for those guys, but probably not a great sign overall for the rest of the team, and it has been.
Yeah, and again, too, it'd be different if these guys, great for these guys, they're hitting like 333 and 313. Right. We're talking about Jeffers hitting 278 and Harrison Bader hitting 280, right? So again, more bad than good. I feel like that statistic will tell you, but we'll get into our nerdy stat coming up actually next. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. And right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return. $250 in bonus bets guaranteed when you hit your first $5 wager. Why I love FanDuel? When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you go check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $250 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Plus, get on some MLB future action while you're there. Twins sitting at plus 290 right now to win the AL Central. It's all sitting up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $250 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, nerdy stat of the daytime. Any crazy stat or kind of fun analytic Twins related today? Lay it on us.
Yeah, so we've talked about the issues with the Twins offense, and not only has it been bad for the offense, but it's had a trickle-down effect onto the bullpen, onto the starting rotation. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the pitching staff has going into this series in Boston, coming into the weekend, had a 3.54 team ERA that was top 8 in the league. But because of the Twins always being in these close situations, it's always a 1-2 game, a 3-4 game. There's never any kind of breathing room. It's felt like the starting pitching and bullpen, so the entire pitching staff together has a win probability added, again, coming into the weekend of 0.16 below zero. So negative 0.16 win probability added. And again, it's that little when you see the win probability chart moving back and forth, when a pitcher comes into the game versus when they exit, what's the win probability look like? Twins are negative. And it's not because the bullpen, it's not because the starting rotation are awful. They've screwed up at times. Of course they have, but overall they haven't been bad. It's just the offense has been so bad that anytime a pitcher makes a mistake that costs them the ball game, and that's what suffers. So it's to say that if the Twins offense can even find some kind of groove, they can start rattling off some wins, but we just haven't seen it now for the first month and change of the season.
Well, let's take that and run with it. Chris Paddack today, again, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Not elite, not bad. How's he been coming along the past few starts, but also kind of big picture, right? Big aerial view. What is your kind of confidence level, I guess, overall with this starting pitching rotation as of late? What we've seen the past 2-3 weeks, just big picture, kind of top to bottom, I guess.
Yeah, I know Chris Paddack has not been a fan favorite, and it's not really because of what he's done on the mound. It's mainly because he's the guy standing in between Zebby Matthews and David Festa and some of the other high-profile starting pitchers down in St. Paul the Twins fans want to see. I understand. I want to see those guys up at the big league level too. But if you look at Chris Paddack's numbers, he had a bad first start in Chicago. And since then, about 5 innings and giving up 3 runs or fewer has kind of been his thing, which isn't great. Obviously, you'd like more from that. But for a number 5 starter, 4-5 starter, and that's what Chris Paddack is on this rotation, he's giving you about what you would expect out of a guy in the back end of your rotation, especially compared to somebody like Zebby or Festa or whatever. Those guys probably right now are going to pitch about the same workload. Rocco Baldelli is not going to bring them in there and let them pitch 6 or 7 innings because they're young and they haven't pitched in the majors, and you're not going to overwork them because they're going to end up throwing a higher amount of innings in Minnesota than they would in St. Paul. So it's that kind of thing of you're not going to get a lot more innings from the run amount. It's probably going to be about the same. So, Chris Paddack again kind of gets a lot of the rocks thrown at him from the fans. And I get it because he's covering up some of the young prospects, but he's been a fine 5 starter. Now, if he was your ace, yeah, you definitely see a lot of holes. Game. But for where he is, kind of what the expectation level for his production is, he's doing basically what about he should have, and there's nobody in St. Paul that's going to have such a massive jump that it warrants kicking him out of there if he's not screwing up every start.
Yeah, well said there. Don't go anywhere. Quick preview, Baltimore series. That's on deck Tuesday. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, now with more than 10 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. And it's so simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, we're about 5 weeks into the season. It could be strikeouts. It could be RBIs, home runs, stolen bases, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. All right, so day off tomorrow. Then you got Baltimore, San Fran, Baltimore again. First 6 of those games are all at home. Pablo on the mound, by the way, for game 1. But talk to me about those next 9 games, that next 9-game stretch, I guess, 6 being played against the Orioles, 6 of them also at home. What's your biggest keys or, things you're looking for from the Twins specifically during this next little stretch to keep this kind of little momentum going or rolling, I should say?
I mean, it's basically what Twins fans know all along. We're going to need to see the offense consistently showing up more and scoring more runs if the Twins are going to want to get through the stretch because, Baltimore, as we know, is a good team. They got a lot of talent on their squad, and you're going to play them 6 out of the next 9. And then you have San Francisco, who has had a much better start to the year than I think some people were expecting, or at least they're looking like a very solid ball club in a very tough division in the NL West. So these next 9 games are going to be challenging. If the Twins can go out of these next, 9 games with even going 5-4 is kind of like the baseline level. Okay, nice stretch. You got out of there. But if they go 6-3, then things are feeling really good. But I mean, ultimately, at this point with the way the Twins are, I think just kind of avoiding burying yourself any further is probably kind of the baseline expectations. So if they go 5-4 in this stretch, you're feeling pretty good. Anything less, and might be time to hit the lake or the golf course more this summer because they might be cooked by that point.
Yeah, well, at least you're honest, at least you're transparent. I think a lot of fans at home are thinking about it. Let's go to our last and final segment here coming up.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I think what you just brought up, we can kind of take and run with it. But, what's the water cooler talk, at work tomorrow after this game? What are people texting about the Twins in their group chats right now? What's the vibe right now of this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the weekend, one of the things we'll probably be talking about, obviously, Cody Clemens getting the home run in Boston, his first ever game in Fenway Park. His dad, of course, Roger Clemens, that moment on Saturday, something that everybody's talking about. It even showed up on the ticker on SportsCenter this morning. So, that's something that people are talking about. But from this game specifically, what people are probably going to be talking about is that misplay between Jonah Bride at third base and Trevor Larnach in left field in the second inning that led to Boston getting the lead. Yeah. And that's just one where everybody from like a junior high coach all the way up to a major league coach will tell you, like, why are you letting the third baseman call you off in that spot? As a third baseman, why are you calling off the left fielder? He had to range so far backwards to go get that ball. You want the left fielder coming in because it's easier to run forward than backward, obviously. And Larnach was right there. And Bride kind of, again, sometimes you don't realize how far back you're getting. It's a little bit on Bride needs to let the outfielder call him off. But if you're Larnach, you also need to do a better job of establishing that that's your ball to go get. It's just, one of the microcosms of that makes the Twins so hard to follow this year is they just screw up on plays like that. And you're like,
It makes it tough for sure. It makes it frustrating. It just doesn't feel like they got that magic this year. And it feels like we're always behind the 8 ball before the season even starts because of the low payroll and the fact that it's so tough to compete with the rosters that the Dodgers are paying for, the Yankees, so on and so forth, that we've seen for many years. But nonetheless, long gauntlet of a season, plenty of time to regroup and rally. But today, Twins make it 2 in a row. They take down Boston 2 out of 3 games. Final score today, 5-4, 15-20 now on the year. Huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go check out all of CJ's work on X at BombCJ30+. All the work he's always ripping up over at Zone Coverage and men.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. Again, day off tomorrow. Baltimore series. That starts Tuesday, 6:40, first pitch. We got Pablo back on the mound for that one. We'll catch you right here, same time, same place. But until then, signing out.